Most Canadians think the AI bubble risk is an American problem. It's not, because Canadian retirement money is already deeply tied to the global AI infrastructure boom. And most people have no idea. In the US, banks like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley have poured hundreds of billions into AI data centers. Oracle, CoreWeave, massive facilities built to power AI. But now the banks are getting nervous. So they've started offloading some of the risk to private credit investors through something called significant risk transfers. So basically, what the banks are doing is this: they keep the loans on paper, but move the dangerous part somewhere else. The fear is simple. If AI demand slows down or too many data centers get built, some of these projects may not generate enough cash to repay the debt. That's the loud American story. But Canada's situation is completely different. Our banks aren't nearly as exposed to these giant AI infrastructure loans. The real Canadian exposure is sitting somewhere else entirely: your pension. CPP Investments manages retirement money for 22 million Canadians, and they've been quietly building a global data center portfolio. In 2025, CPP helped finance a hyperscale AI data center right here in Ontario, in Cambridge. They partnered on an €8 billion data center expansion. They own a major stake in a massive Equinix joint venture targeting more than $15 billion in infrastructure. And in Japan, they committed roughly about 1.3 billion to fund another data center. Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, which manages $275 billion, has also openly said data centers are one of the major long-term bets. These are not small investments. Now, at this point, some of you are probably thinking, okay, but didn't people say the same thing about Wall Street in 2008? That's fair, but here's the real difference. In 2008, the risk was buried inside financial products so complicated that even some of the banks holding them didn't fully understand what was inside. The confusion was the point. What Canadian pensions are investing in are real physical assets: buildings, power infrastructure, signed contracts. You can see the asset, you can visit it. And unlike banks making loans, Canadian pension funds are usually owners, not just lenders hoping to get paid back. Think of it this way: there's a difference between lending someone money to open a restaurant and actually owning part of the restaurant. One gives you a chair at the table when things get complicated, the other just gives you a prayer. There's also another important difference here. A lot of these AI data centers already have paying customers signed before construction even began. It's like building an apartment tower with a 10-year lease already locked in before you lay a single brick. The Cambridge project CPP invested in already had a major AI tenant committed before the deal closed. CPP wasn't betting on finding a customer. The customer was already there. But, and I want to be honest with you, that doesn't mean the risk disappears, because sophistication doesn't protect you if an entire sector goes wrong at the same time. That's what made 2008 so dangerous. It wasn't one bad bet. It was everybody making the same bet simultaneously. And that's the real concern here too. If AI demand slows materially, or the world massively overbuilds data centers, these assets could also come under pressure together. The infrastructure is genuinely stronger than 2008, but the concentration risk is real. There's also one final piece. In December 2024, the previous Canadian government proposed up to $15 billion in loans and equity support for AI data center projects, specifically projects that already involved Canadian pension funds. So for every dollar the government would put in, pension funds would be required to contribute too. Now, with a new government in place, it's still unclear how much of that plan actually moves forward. But the bigger point is this: the Canadian government was already preparing to co-invest alongside pension funds in AI infrastructure. And if a program like that were fully deployed, the combined investment could eventually approach $45 billion. So this isn't just a private market bet anymore. Taxpayer money could end up in the trade too. And that's why this story matters, because AI infrastructure stopped being just a tech story a long time ago. Now it's tied to banks, governments, and the retirement savings of millions of Canadians.